So you may have had a go at creating some short promotional videos for your company or your organization, be that big or small, and you may well be really quite pleased with what you've been able to produce. On the other hand, you may have been disappointed with the outcome, especially given the amount of time that you've taken on it, the effort and the resource that you've put into it, and the fact that you may have even involved other people. It's also very easy to become completely overwhelmed with all the different options that you've got for filming, for speaking to camera, for editing, for distribution. There's a gazillion and one things that you need to consider. It's a very complicated recipe putting together a short promotional video. So the course that I've put together looks to completely demystify the whole process. I keep the lessons relatively short, nice and punchy, and good, simple and easy techniques that I've used over the years to help people in their business and also in my own business to promote and build brands. So you might be looking for some ways to improve on what you do. That might be getting better sound quality or vision quality, or it might be even just to cut down the amount of time that you spend in creating videos. It might also be, or you might also be, somebody that's looking for help with just all the overwhelm and what it is that you can choose, what equipment you should use, what editing software, how you distribute, do you put it on video, on Vimeo, on YouTube, all of those type of things that just can get completely out of control. Well, if you are any of these people, then I have a short course. Now, I'm a qualified trainer here in Australia, and I've used video extensively to build not only my own brand, but to help other small companies and big companies build their brand through the power of video. And I've been doing this for over 12 years. So I've put together a short course that takes you through all the various elements that you need to understand and master to be able to produce short promotional videos in a relatively short period of time on a regular basis. So what follows next is the lesson that I've recorded on scripting, the importance of scripting, how you script, what you say, the importance of ordering. But I won't talk any further. I'll just play you the lesson on scripting. Here it is. If there's one thing you really need to focus on before you start filming, and that's scripting what you're going to say when you appear on your short promotional video, it's simply going to take you lots less time to produce your end result if you spend the time scripting. It will help you to say things that you want to say, not to say things that you didn't want to say things in the right order, and to put your sentences together in a coherent, understandable and comprehensible manner. There are lots of digital solutions that you can use to script your video, but mine has always been a very low-tech, easy to use, easy to implement solution, and I'm using it right now, and it's a simple A5 spiral bound notepad and my favorite pen. And I'm actually following these notes right now. It's a $2 solution, so it's always been really very effective for me. And this is basically how I approach it. So obviously you need some sort of content. You need an idea on what you're going to base your promotional video on. Now, that could be all sorts of things. You could be small business, you could be in a large business. There could be people coming to you asking you to make short promotional videos for their particular department. But I always start out with just a simple plain sheet of paper and bullet points. I just start putting bullet points down on a sheet of paper and trying to rough out a rough outline, a rough sketch of the story or the promotional material that I'm trying to communicate to my audience. Once you've done that, or maybe even in the process of doing that, it's not a bad idea to get some work colleagues or trusted friends involved. They may see something at this very early stage, or may want something including or excluding that you hadn't considered. So getting somebody involved at this very early stage can be painful, but it's generally speaking speaking, and typically speaking, it's well worth it in the end. So once you've got your bullet points mapped out and agreed with all the various stakeholders, then I simply just flip the page over and start writing the sentences out. I unpack the bullet points onto the right hand side of my notepad here. Now I always leave the left hand side blank, so that if I come up with an idea or there's a long sentence, I think I actually did it just here somewhere. Yep. So this was all blank, and I found that I needed to put extra things into my script. So by leaving that side blank, it gives you that flexibility to do that without rewriting the whole lot. I always as well leave lines between the writing in my sentences. What that means is that, again, it gives me a lot of options for editing and adding things in. So once you've got your sentences all written out, then is the time to start reading them out in full and timing how long it takes. You want to go in a nice steady pace that's going to be comfortable for your audience to keep up with, but isn't too slow. And then when you've done that a couple of times and you've got the time, you need to get your pen out and be absolutely brutal. Take anything out of your script whatsoever, even if it's just 4 or 5 words out of the overall script, but take anything out of your script that isn't adding value to the underlying message that you're looking to deliver to your audience. People are going to thank you for getting to the point really quickly. What they want to know is, what is it that your thing can do for them? How can it transform their lives? Honestly, they're not really that interested in your vast experience and your title and all those sorts of things. They just want to know what it is you can do for them. Then, before you start filming, the final stage is to start reading your script out aloud. Now, this could be to a trusty friend or a work colleague, or you could just stand in front of a mirror. I often find that just actually talking to the camera with the camera off helps me to come up with the right flow, the right intonation in my voice, the right tone of voice, the right expressions, and the right body language. But just keep practicing your script until you find that it's got a natural flow to it. You might also find as well that maybe there's 1 or 2 things that you still need to change about it. So that's your final opportunity to go through that process. So let's have a look then at how you're going to use the script during your filming process. And for the benefits of this little clip here, let's just assume that everything else is set up. We're just thinking about how we're going to use the script in our notepad to assist us to narrate our production. So the first thing I do is hit record on the camera. The camera's recording. It doesn't matter that it's not necessarily recording any action, because we can edit that out in a moment or two. I sit there with my first page open in front of me, but just out of shot of camera. And if you're standing, you can put it on a lectern or a bunch of boxes, whatever, something where you can easily reach it or glance at it at a moment's notice. I read through the first page. I always start off with my hands just together in front of me like this if I'm sitting down, or perhaps just towards my side if I'm standing up. But it's important to maintain that same position whenever you start. It makes it so much easier to put things together when you're editing. So with my hands sitting here with my hands, I'm just looking down. I'm having a read through my first page. I hit a big smile. I look up and I start narrating. So there's one thing that you're definitely going to need to do before you start filming, and that is script your part in your small video production. I nearly got through that sentence. Okay, when you're happy and you've finished, so I'm back here now, I'm not actually demonstrating, I'm back with you now. When you're happy with what you've recorded, just put your hands back together, look at the camera for 4 or 5 seconds, and then hold something up to the camera. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's best if it's something that's quite colourful, and just sit there in silence holding it up for 5 or 6 seconds. You'll see when we come to the lesson on editing how useful that can be and how much time it will take out of the whole editing process. So next, you just rinse and repeat. You turn to the next page in your script and you pause on it for a moment or two. You look at it all the time the camera's running. The camera's going to be running all the time. It's just one single, fairly long take. You look at your script, big smile, look up and start narrating. You do that, of course, until you've completed all the pages of your script. So that's how you create a script. Start with bullet points, work through into sentences, get people involved, hash things around, do some dry runs, practice, get your camera going, get your whole environment set up, which we will cover, or we already have covered. I'm not sure where that comes in the overall order of the course. And then use your script during the filming process. And there's two really important points that I want to finish with. And the first one is, do not be tempted to vary from your script when you're filming. Somebody's going to say to you, oh, but don't you think you should mention that, or don't you should, or you're going to think that yourself. If you're thinking that, stop the filming process, grab your notepad, rewrite the script, do whatever you need to do, but please do not try to make it up on the fly. The problem with that is that what you'll find, and I can tell you from raw experience, is that you change a couple of words in a sentence, and what that does, it actually changes the meaning of the sentence. So you then have to start thinking about, well, now I've got to put something in the next sentence, or I might have to put something in the sentence before the sentence I've changed. And unfortunately, because you've changed from the script, it just means that you'll forget what you've covered potentially, and also it makes it that much harder when you get somebody, or you yourself, or you get somebody to do the editing for you. So whatever you do, stick to the script. That's really, really important. If you've spent the time creating the script, there should be no need to change it when you're carrying out the filming process. And the very last point is that, you know, you've got a message for people. You might be sharing some expertise or ideas, or talking about some special that you're running in a couple of weeks' time, or a menu promotion, or some great tyre offer that you've got in your tyre shed. Who knows what it is that you're actually looking to convey? Remember, it's connection, not perfection. Nobody ever made the perfect video. And if you aim to make the perfect video, it will only ever stay in the camera. There will always be things that you look at and go, you know, I could have done that better, or the lighting could have been better, or I could have said this. But at the end of the day, your audience isn't necessarily looking for you to be perfect. They're looking for you to be a human and to connect with them. So you may want to be connecting with a brand new audience, or you may want to be maintaining a connection with an existing audience. Whichever, please remember that nobody ever made the perfect video, and it's connection, not perfection. So that is how you put together a script and use it when you're filming. Now, if you'd like to know more about the course, please follow the links below. I look forward to working with you.